Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Nice to see you again. We're on day, I don't know what day, one of the days of the daily December videos. And today I want to talk a little bit about tools that I use in the fish room, specifically 3D printed tools and whether or not they're of any interest to anyone. We've made a few videos of this in the past where I've printed all manner of things. My most successful one, I think, was something like this. This is my tool that I use for my water changes. So I clip this onto the side of a tank, and as the water fills up, this stops it. This is not a 3D printed version. This is the cheapest chips. Much easier to buy 5 of these than print one of the 3D printed versions. And I found that to be the case in a lot of the tools that I've used, where I've always found one that worked just as well, that I could buy just as cheaply. And it's really things that are specifically niche that I find the 3D printing stuff. So this, for instance, is great. Whether it's 3D printed or not, the idea is you just screw it onto the end of the tank, turn on the water, walk away, and you're not going to flood anything. Brilliant. So like I say, that's kind of brilliant. But the really cheap Chinese, buy them off Temu, AliExpress, whatever you want, they're only a couple of quid. It's kind of easier just to buy them in bulk, get them cheaper than it is to print them. Where the printing versions work better is when you have non-standard tanks, so tanks that have a lip, tanks that have a funny lid or something like that, where I can print something more specifically, as I've done in some of these other tanks. So the 3D printing aspect definitely has a use in the hobby. I've printed all manner of things, from algae scrapers to tool holders. I've even printed off other creators' files, like Lowell's Fish Lab does some breeding traps and things like that. I've made my own egg gatherers. It's been great. If you're into that kind of thing, it's really useful. So like this egg catcher. Yes, you can buy versions of this, but I wanted something that fit in a very specific size, and I wanted very specific tolerances within the grate there, so eggs could get in, but nothing else could. I wanted slopes bigger than the ones that you could buy, and you could just print this yourself, make that bit as long as I want it to be. You can make it shorter and just make it fit your situation. I've got overflows that I've printed for Mega Tank, and you can buy them online, the right sizes and everything, but they're way more expensive than just printing your own. And if something happens to them, I can just print another one. I've always got that file. Do you like the t-shirt, by the way? Remember my mum and dad that came on the live stream a few weeks ago to tell us of their cruise they were going on to the Canary Islands? This is the present I got. Didn't know Norway was in the Canary Islands. Anyway, but I'm excited today to show you my latest creation, and it's this, the humble algae scraper. Now, okay, yes, it's used some fancy filament, but that's not the point of it. That this, again, is designed for a very niche purpose. It is a generic razor blade holder scraper tool thing, where I've put my logo on it, which hasn't quite worked, so it's still in development. But the point of this is it's a tiny little thing that can get me into any nooks and crannies. And I find razor blades are one of the best tools for scraping algae of any kind, whether it's saltwater, freshwater, any kind of algae you may come across. But this really cheap tool only takes an hour or so to print on my old crappy printer. Really sturdy and reusable, so you can take the blades in and out, you can swap it out for a new blade, not a problem at all. But it's the versatility of this that I can get into any little nooks and crannies. Let me show you. So the two kind of main things about any tool that I want in the aquarium hobby is that it works. So this works really well. I can get in there, I can scrape algae, and it will scrape algae perfectly. And the second thing I want is that I don't want it to be annoying. I want it to be, whether it's ergonomic, whether it's useful, I want it to work with me rather than against me. So quite often what you'll get is, if you're scraping your algae, you'll drop it and you go, oh no. I was about to say, and it will float back to the top. Okay, it should float back to the top. So that's my next development step. It floated earlier. It must have got water in it from earlier on. But anyway, so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to float, so I need to change the infill of this. But it can also get me into little spaces that I can't normally get to with larger scrapers. Look how easy it cleans up all that. Version 7, because I think this is version 6, will float. A scenario like this is where it might be particularly niche to someone like me, but I find it useful. So a normal algae scraper like this, I'm constantly fighting with the upper level of this shelf to be able to get the angle that I need to do this, whereas with the little one I can just go in there and start straight away, not a problem. I can get into all the hard to reach places, I can move it around, no problem whatsoever. I can get up on a stool and get down to the bottom. It's really quite niche, I appreciate that, but it's fantastic. And I just wondered if there's anyone else that had a requirement for something that just doesn't exist. There are hundreds and hundreds of algae scrapers out there, but they all have something that annoys me one way or the other. And I think that the 3D printing hobby is one thing that you can bring into it, that you can say, oh, I'm just going to get exactly what I want, then I'll make it myself. And if you're anything like me, I will lose this. So I can print 5 of these in one go, and I'll always have one where I need it. If I break it, I can print another one. So these are the reasons that I think that the various 3D printed things that I use around the fish room are great, because I constantly break things and I constantly lose things. So I always have the ability to get a spare straight away. But spare parts for things as well. I've printed so many of them. When I think I've got a Fluval FX5 where the impeller broke for that. So I printed a little bracket to hold it in its place, and it worked for months after that. I can't think offhand of how many things I've found useful for, because there are just so many. Anytime I break anything, I could just go, I'll just print another one. And it's always worked. So my question to you is, what 3D printed things do you use in your fish room, or would you like to use? If there's something that you could get, you don't have a 3D printer yourself, but you've got an idea of something that would be good. 3D printing is a way that you can get that fairly cheaply as a one-off without having to spend thousands of pounds making up moulds and things. So if you join my Discord, there'll be a link somewhere. I do have a 3D printing ideas channel, so you can post your ideas in there, the things you think might work. And we have a small community of people with 3D printers there. We could maybe mock up something, try it out, see if we get something that's any use to you. That'd be good. Or if you're interested in buying some of the files for some of the things that I've got, or buying one of these, I'm not trying to become a millionaire off this. It would be covering costs and things like that. Maybe you could buy the next version of this that actually works and floats. A couple of quid, something like that, with a couple of free razor blades, and away you go. If you're interested in that kind of thing, let me know in the comments, or let me know on Discord. I might give some of these away as prizes on the live stream, because I think it's really useful. I would say that though, I made it. But we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining me. Remember, December is Adventures month. We're trying to raise money throughout December, so come along to the Friday night live streams. It's 9 PM UK time. We'll have some fun, game, quizzes, chat, all that good stuff, but there's also some challenges. So the more money I raise, the more challenges I have to do, which might be Carolina Reaper chili pepper chocolate, or Dorito chips things, or eating some disgusting fermented fish, or lots of just not nice things. I don't know why I'm pushing this so hard, but I'd like to raise some money for charity. We do it every year. I usually do it with a calendar, so this year we're trying something a little bit different. So come along and support us Friday night, 9 PM UK time, and I'll see you there. Other than that, thank you for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye!